Kogi 3, and you see why.
Play the drive on him, not the three. Sengun, the lob, green the dunk.
he scooped that underhand grandpa style, man. Much better here in the clutch. Oh, goodness! Wow. Look at him!
Hunting Merle like chasing shadows.
The Houston Rockets might be on the cusp of a new wave, without possibly even knowing it yet. The NBA has always been called a copycat league, and for good reason. Every now and then, when a team wins a championship, if there's any slight difference that gave a team an edge, others try to seek the same advantages. Sometimes those advantages are unable to be replicated because of special talent. Other times, they can be copied in ways that could lead to lightning in a bottle. The Denver Nuggets are, in my opinion, the next team to potentially cause a shift in how some teams rewire their basketball brains as well. Nikola Jokic is no doubt a very unique player with an incredible talent and skill that arguably no other center possesses at the moment. As dominant as Joel Embiid is, he's more of an individually great player, while Jokic truly elevates his teammates throughout the course of a game. Having a center you can run offense through sounds like an outdated concept today, but it's a strategy I think can be implemented while still having the spacing to complement it. Jokic has shown us some interesting possibilities that the Houston Rockets can certainly try replicating to a certain extent. Which brings me back to that oozing potential sitting just under the Rockets' noses, which is 21-year-old Alperen Sengun, who's now listed at 6'11". And plenty of you will probably stop watching this video right now in anger over me comparing Sengun to Jokic, so let's get one thing out of the way. Sengun is nowhere near the level Jokic is for plenty of reasons that I won't explain in this video, but in terms of approach to possessions with the ball in their hands, it's hard not to notice some obvious similarities in their games. Whenever Sengun receives a pass, the first thing I notice is he's looking for potential passing opportunities instead of looking to score. He also likes to initiate a lot of dribble handoffs to get the offense flowing. On a Rockets team that's really filled with players who look to score as soon as they receive a pass, it's incredibly refreshing to see someone actually look to see what's available before doing anything else. And it would be even more refreshing to see his teammates use Sengun to their advantage by moving without the ball more often, seeing as that's what he's looking for. And just after rewatching some of their games, as you would expect, the Rockets were way more effective when this was the case. Yet, for whatever reason, the offense was usually stagnant, and oftentimes when Sengun had the ball with nothing going on around him, he'll either call for a handoff in a desperate attempt to get something going, or he'll try to make something happen with his back to the basket. Other than that, it was either Jalen Green or Kevin Porter Jr. taking turns trying to beat their own defenders with whatever leftover touches remaining for everyone else. And with teams understanding how often the Rockets stand around on offense, it makes it much easier to collapse on a Sengun post-up possession, or when Jalen Green puts his head down to attack the basket, or take some tough shots, ending in yet another bad Rockets offensive possession. Of course, expecting a team as young as the Rockets to execute proper motion offense and have more patience is a bit unrealistic, but it is something that Ime Udoka has no problem enforcing with zero tolerance. A player looking at what's available is part of the equation, but being able to execute is another. And this is what separates Sengun from other centers in the NBA. His ability to play make out of different spots on the floor is what generously puts him in the conversation with Jokic as a passing big man. The flashy passes we see from Sengun every single game are very Jokic-esque, for lack of a better term, Sengun particularly likes his behind-the-back bounce passes, which are often available thanks to his comfort with his back to the basket. He also loves making these bounce passes between his legs and using his body to block the defender's path in an attempt to get the receiver some more space to make something happen. If he grabs a rebound and there isn't already someone available for an outlet to an easy basket, he's able to bring the ball up and challenge the defense to pick him up in transition. In some instances, where teams just assume he's eventually going to give the ball up before running up the court, he just makes his way through for a basket of his own. He's also not afraid to put together some quick moves to get by defenders in transition, which still catches guys by surprise at times. He does look to pass a bit too much, sometimes not taking the shot that's available and instead turning it over as a result, but it is something he's going to learn with time. Like Jokic, Sengun has really good footwork and loves using pump fakes, pass fakes, twists and turns to get defenders off their feet in order to take advantage of those elite shot blockers. And while Sengun may not be as athletically gifted as others, he will put people on a poster from time to time, with sneaky spin moves leading into his dunks. He uses the pistol Pete ball fake, that most people call the Rondo shot fake, and sells it successfully around the rim. But without a consistent jumper, he gives the defenses little reason to bite on pump fakes as he stretches farther and farther away from the basket. So there's no doubt that improving that part of his game will help him take a tremendous leap into potential stardom. And he has improved his efficiency in just his second season, with his play in FIBA continuing to show that as well. Sengun leads the team in rebounds per game and just has a knack for grabbing them in surprising situations, often leading to free throw trips when he puts it back up in the middle of that chaos. At nearly 15 points per game, he could easily be averaging about 18 if not for his struggles at the free throw line, shooting 71%, which I don't see lasting for much longer, seeing as he's shown better results in international play. But if Alpi can get to at least 78 to 80% from the line, he's going to see a nice jump in points per game and will be more of a problem, but for now, fouling him is a better bet than allowing looks in the paint. As young as he is, he has a good understanding of situations on the floor, which you can see by watching him even off the ball, often pointing at available options like this one, which he created by running a handoff with Jalen Green. This forced Steven Adams to switch, but unfortunately the mismatch goes unnoticed, and it results in a Jabari Smith Jr. miss at the rim. Speaking of unnoticed mismatches, here's one in the same game where Sengun finds himself with Desmond Bane guarding him after getting back in transition. Ex-player, now Rockets broadcaster Ryan Hollins is calling for the same thing, and you could also hear Sengun yelling that he has a mismatch while raising his arms in frustration.
Rockets gotta capitalize. Feed Sengun. He's got Bane on him.
Jabari Smith.
Yeah, Sengun knows it.
Oh, good hustle by Sengun, flying in there for that offensive rebound and ended up getting fouled.
I like that. There was frustration because he didn't get the ball.
And even with how obviously successful the offense looks when Sengun is more involved, it hasn't been something I've seen the Rockets try to run as much as possible, the way the Kings also do with Sabonis. The Kings run tons of dribble handoffs and pick and rolls with Sabonis, who's also surrounded by really good shooting to provide the best space possible, which is something the Rockets didn't really have last season, being dead last in three-point percentage and 27th in offensive rating. Having Sengun on the floor for long stretches doesn't come without consequences though, which come at the defensive end. But putting all of the blame on Sengun would be unfair, seeing as Tari Eason and Jabari Smith Jr. were probably their best and only good defenders last year. Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr., and Eric Gordon being on the perimeter showing no resistance, with Sengun as the last line of defense in drop coverage, is a recipe for disaster defensively speaking. The result was an awful 29th defensive rating. So neither the offense or the defense was at an average level, which brings me to a possible solution to improve at least the offensive side of the ball. Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. had the highest usage rates on the Rockets last season, two guys that are primarily score-first players, with KPJ being more of a distributor than Jalen. But if Sengun moves to the primary playmaker at center, With everyone else in motion similar to the Kings or Denver Nuggets, I think it opens a door for some great possibilities that should be explored further. And more help is on the way for this team, which I talked about on my Houston Rockets Bright Future video, and I can't wait to see what Ime Udoka decides to do with his new team. Thanks for watching this video. This is the All Things Basketball Podcast. I'm your host, Vic Lopez, as always, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.